why do we create charts? The primary goal of choosing charts in Excel is for presenting information. It's just a lot easier to read if you have a lot of data. Um, it's easy to digest when you create a nice fluffy chart, and and uh, and that's why we do it. Um, so remember, as we go along, please make some notes. Pause this video, make some notes as we go along. So it's very important. One of the main things in getting used to creating charts is knowing the different types of charts that are out there, and let's describe each one of them. Certainly, these are not all the charts. These are some of the main ones you will find in your ICT exam, and certainly some of the most common ones as well. So we have the pie chart, and the pie chart displays each value to a contribution to a total. So think of, pizza slices. Everyone eats a slice. Then you can get a sort of percentage of who had how many slices. So it's a nice one when you have to show a contribution to 100% or to a whole. Okay. Then you have the column chart. Okay, and this is a nice one you do in maths when you're drawing your charts. And this one compares values along categories using rectangular shapes as the data points. So those actual shapes you see are called data points. And when you draw them, in maths, that's basically what you're drawing, and that's the name given to it. A bar chart is very similar to a column chart, but it's on its side. And you know, when to choose a bar chart or column chart depends on the type of data and user preference, and sometimes it's worth comparing both to see the results. And then finally, we're going to look at the line chart, and these type of charts are used to display trends over time. Okay, and that's the key word there, time. Anything to do with time, days, weeks, the year, where you have to project a trend over that period, you would use a line chart. Okay, so this is your pie chart, what it looks like. You can see it's displaying each value as a contribution. So you can see the sales in each quarter, how much was sold throughout the year, and you can see how it's broken down into a nice pie chart. So pie chart is good for that sort of thing. A column chart, again, we can compare values along categories. Okay, so these numbers on the left hand side here on your vertical axis could be sales for different items, apples, oranges, and pears over the days of the week. Okay, we could have also used a line chart for this because remember the days are a period of time, aren't they? So we can also use the line chart as well. But I'm just showing you how the bar chart, the column chart will work. And this is your bar chart. It's like a column chart, but it's line on its side. So that's, sometimes, like I said before, the user preference, how you want this to look, it's up to you whether you choose a bar or a column. You're not going to get penalized either way. And finally, you can see the line charts, okay? And these are used to display sort of trends over time. And here you can see apples, oranges, and peaches all sort of battling, to see who, to see the sales, the drops, and the peaks and the troughs. So, you can see all that happening over a period of time. Okay. So let's take a quick look again at this. So identify the chart type. So again, you will hopefully have made some notes on this one. So let's just do a quick recap. What would a bar chart likely to be? And it's like a column chart, but usually the best for displaying multiple values. You got a column chart, compares values along categories using rectangular shapes as data points. So again, bar and column are very similar. Okay. You got a pie chart, displays each value as a contribution to a total. So how does each value stack up to 100%? And then you got a line chart, and these are used to display trends over time. Okay. Sometimes you can use all of these charts if you have data because it applies to all of them. And we'll take a look at that later on as well. Okay, so please just make some notes if you haven't on the pie, column, bar, and line charts. Okay, one thing you need to make a note of as well before we go into creating these charts is that if I look at the first bullet point here, To insert a chart, simply highlight your cell range and then click on the Insert menu to select what type of chart is required. So when you're creating a chart, you're selecting the data that you're interested in, that you want to represent. And that simply means click and dragging over your data and clicking on the Insert menu of Excel. But what I really want to draw your attention to is the Make a Note section. And that is the Control key allows you to select separate areas to compare when creating your chart. Because sometimes you need to select data on your spreadsheet that are in two different places. Okay, and the only way to select each one independently is to hold down the Control key. Okay, very important to make a note of that, please. Okay, now we're going to quickly look at the types of the chart, and this is all the theory, so please make notes. We're going to create some charts in a second. So looking at the components of your chart, you have what you called these labels here, and we can go in and have a look at them. So the first arrow is pointing to your chart area, and that is just the general background of the area of the chart. Okay. You've got the vertical axis title, so here we can see there's an income title, and also there's also a horizontal title down here. You must make sure you label up all your titles when you create charts, and also for the exam. You've got a legend, and that just tells us what these data points represent, and you can see that it's representing Monday, the day. Data point, that's what it is. You have a chart title. You must have an overall chart title for your exam. This needs to be a relevant title, okay? So it can't just say fruit sales, or it just can't say Monday. Make it quite relevant. This represents fruit sales for Monday. And finally, you've got a plot area. And that is just the area directly behind your data points. And it's not that important for your exam. I just like to put it in there because you can give it different colors to your chart area and make it look nice in that way. Okay. Okay, so what we're going to do very quickly is to look at the different chart types. We're going to create uh, 4 different chart types very quickly. And let's just show you, starting with the first one, the pie chart. Okay, so to create this pie chart, I'm going to carefully select some information here. So I think I'm going to select the items that we sold in this community fruit store. And I use this in a lot of my examples. Select the information, literally click and drag over the information I need. So I want to show a chart for the Monday sales for oranges, pineapples, and avocados, and that means simply selecting it. Okay, and the reason why I'm choosing Monday is because I don't have multiple items I want to compare. I just want to see how they stack up on a Monday. So a pie chart is great for that because I can see how it all adds up to 100%. Okay, so very quickly, what we do with this, then we highlight the data, we go into Insert, and there's 2 things we can do here. There's a really nice feature you have in if you have Excel 2013 and onwards, this works. Okay, go into Recommended Charts, and what you can then do is it gives us the recommended chart. So you can see here we can do a column chart. We can do pie. We can do bar, and there are also a funnel chart, which we won't go into. So these are all the different types of charts you can choose. Other than that, you can simply go in and select your pie chart from here. You have different styles you can choose, 3D, donut. I'm just going to go ahead and create a basic one. And here you can see that very easily done. It shows us the different sections of that Monday um, uh, income. The only thing that's missing are what you call data labels, and that is something that you must add if you're doing a pie chart, really. So we go into Add Chart Element on the left-hand side here and choose Data Labels, and we can choose. Let's just put that on the, you can put it on the outside or the inside, doesn't matter. And then you can see how this all contributes to the total. You can easily see graphically what's going on. Okay, so that is our pie chart. Okay, very easily done. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go ahead and create a column chart. Okay, All right, and what I'll do is I'll just make that smaller so it looks better. Column chart, and again, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to use I want to compare the items that I sold with Tuesday. However, we need to make sure that if we're going to select the items and Tuesday, we need to hold down the control key because look what happens. Yeah, it keeps dropping off. So I need to select the first bit of information, hold down the control key, and select the second bit of information that I want. Very important to always include the labels as well when you're doing this as well. Okay, and then what we will do is we'll go into insert, and when we do that one, click onto the column chart, and you can quickly see the different styles up here. We're just going to choose the clustered column, very basic one done. That's it. And there you have it. You can see the column chart is there. You can see the data points of those fruits, how it compares with each other. And there you have it. So nothing special about that one. You do need to make sure that when you create your charts, you add your titles. Okay, so when we go into your add chart element, you've got your axes titles, primary, horizontal, and primary vertical. So you can click on primary horizontal, and we can name this one, for example, fruits. And we can also name this one, we can go back into our chart element, and we can name that one primary vertical, and we can name this one income. Okay, and then we can go into your chart title here, and we can give it that name we were talking about. Fruit sales for Monday. Okay, and that is what you would do for all your charts, really. Just go ahead, edit the title, edit the axes titles, and that's great. What we'll do, we can quickly see that we can also have created a bar. A bar chart would have been very, very similar as well. And you can see the bar chart here. And again, like I said, it's just like a column chart, but on its side. Yep. Okay. So that is your bar chart. So I better put a name in there for you to see. Bar chart. Okay, and then finally we're going to create the line chart, and to do that one, I'm going to select two items here. So I'm going to select oranges and pineapples. Okay, I could select all three of them, but what I want to see, I want to compare them. I want to see that running battle between oranges and pears over time to see how they performed. So what I will do, I'll go to insert, and I can go ahead and just do recommended charts and select the line chart from there. And here we can see the two fruits, oranges and pineapples. We can see how they have compared over time. And that's a really useful way to interpret that data. So remember, we're just going to put our data labels back on here. So we're going to go into design and click on add chart element and click on data labels. Okay, and so you can say that, you know, on Monday oranges started off quite highly at 45 pounds, but by Wednesday it had dropped to 23 pounds. Whereas pineapples started off on Monday at 17, and as you can see over time it went up to 76 pounds. Okay, and so remember, if you just stay on, we are gonna go look at an exam question later on, okay, on this one. So very important you stay for that one. What I'm gonna just mention to you, if you are using Excel 2013, you can just click on this button here, okay, and this will add all your chart elements. Okay, so just remember to click on your axes titles, and that will appear where you need them. So here's one here, that's where you could name it fruits. And up this one here, the horizontal axis is where you can name that one. And you can also rename your chart title, just like we looked at before. So if you are using 2010 or prior to 2013, Microsoft Office product, you will have to go into layout to get your titles. Okay, but if you're using 2013, you can either go to design and add chart element from here, or you can click on to this button here that will very easily add it all for you. Okay, one other thing I did say we will touch on is to look at how we can set a minimum and maximum value to our axes. If you could look here, how the computers decided to go up this scale on the left here, you see it starts from 0 and ends at 80. And what the computer is doing, and when you're drawing your charts when you're drawing a chart in maths, it's the same principle. The computer's looking for the highest value, which is £76, and so it set the ceiling at 80. Okay, and it decides to go up in 20s. So 20, 40, 60, 80. Okay, so that's something that is also something you can change as well. So if we just recap very briefly on why we would do that. So if you were to draw a graph or a chart onto a graph paper, so for example, say we had to represent these numbers here. So 2, 9, 14, and 28. Well, we look at the highest number, which is 28, and so we decide a suitable scale to go up. So we can say we can go up in tens, and we can make the highest number 40. Okay, and we just go up in tens. And also notice that the increments between the numbers go up in 10 because there are 10 sort of, there are 10 sort of squares here between the two numbers. And if you wanted to find out the value of each one of these squares, you would have to divide it by the number. So if we wanted to find out what the value of one of these is, we do 10 divided by 10 is 1. So the value of each one of these squares is 1. So we are going up in ones. Okay, and that's what it says here. So remember to find the value of the increments, divide the number between scales by 10. So here we have another list. We have a set of numbers 5, 15, 50, and 75. So to draw a suitable scale for this, what we can do is we can go up by 20s, 0, 20, 40, 60, and we can make the highest number on there to 80. Okay, and that will be a suitable scale to represent that data in. Okay, and as you can see, if you want to find out the value of one of these individual squares, you would have to divide it by 10. So basically, divide the gap, which is 20, by the number of squares, which is 10, and that would be 2. Okay, so the value of each one of these squares is 2. Okay, so that is what you will need to do when you're drawing your charts. So if we just go back to our spreadsheet here very quickly, we can see that if you wanted to change those values here on the axis, which we don't need to because this is perfect, but if we just right click that axis for a minute and we go on to format axis, what you will get is a screen like this that tells us what do you want the minimum or the maximum values to be on the scale. Now you can see it's already, the maximum value is already set to 80, but if we increased it to maybe 200, that's not going to be so wise, because what happens is that because it's increased it to 200, the data appears to be squashed and there's a lot of underuse going on here. So just remember that when you are drawing a chart for any maths question regarding charts, or when you need to set a suitable scale in your charts. Now, for your exam, you're not going to fiddle with this one too much, guys. I thought it would be a useful thing to know for maths as well. Okay, so what we're going to do now is that we will look at an actual exam question on some charts. So just before we go on to that exam question, if you can just pause the slide at the moment and just make a note of this for your notes, please. This is very important. Just pause the slide and make a note of these 3 questions. So we will look at that exam question now. So here's a question, a level 2 question, and I put easy on there because it's pretty straightforward. Create a suitable chart to show the balance due from each student. Identify each student by their first name. format the chart so that it is clear and easy to read. Save the chart as a separate sheet. Okay, so here's our chart here. Now the first thing to do, this is normally the last or the final part of your spreadsheet section of the ICT exam. So you would have done the absolute and the if and the VLOOKUP and all the other functions already, and this will be the last bit. So you have a pretty good idea of what is going on. So we can see here that this is a spreadsheet with some names of some learners or students going on a trip, and these are the payments received, the balance due. So always make sure you understand what is going on in the spreadsheet. Now it says here to create this sheet based on their first name, okay? And usually it's good to look at what is in bold. So the crucial bits of information that we need from this question is the balance due and the first name, okay? So we're going to highlight the first name section like this. And if you remember, we need to hold down that control key so we can select the other section like this. Once you have the required information, it's pretty much straightforward from there. All we need to do is go to Insert, and we can do recommended charts, for example, and we can click on the first one, which is a standard clustered column chart. And you will get your chart looking like this, okay? And that is all you have to do. It then says to format the chart appropriately, and that means we need to give it suitable titles. So you can see we need a main title here, we need a vertical axis title and a horizontal axis title. So we can click on the plus button, click on axis titles, and what we can do is we can just put on here I can just put payments in that one. On the horizontal axis, I can simply put first name. Very important that you name these, okay? And here we can just, the main title could be balance due for students on Italy trip, for example. Something that is relevant for the chart, okay? And that is basically the main things that you need to know on this tutorial. So we've looked at how to create this chart. We looked at using the control key to highlight data. We looked at why you would create a chart. We looked at the different types of charts that you can create. We even looked at how you can go up in increments with a minimum and a maximum value on a scale. Okay, so thank you everyone for watching this video.